Marcus, why is your mother's car in our driveway? I asked, my voice trembling as I fumbled for my keys. The sun-drenched street seemed to mock our perfect honeymoon with this jarring sight. Marcus shrugged, his casual response setting my teeth on edge. Maybe they wanted to welcome us home? I took a deep breath, steadying myself. 2 weeks of marital bliss in Bali, and now this. We'd barely set our suitcases down when the front door swung open, revealing Vivian's beaming face. "Surprise!" she exclaimed, arms outstretched. Behind her, Gina waved from our living room couch, feet propped up on my antique coffee table. "Mom? Gina? What are you doing here?" Marcus asked, but his tone lacked the shock I felt coursing through my veins. Vivian engulfed us both in a perfume-soaked hug. "We thought we'd surprise you and stay for a while. You two lovebirds need help settling in, don't you?" I extracted myself from her embrace, forcing a smile. "That's thoughtful, but we're fine. How did you get in?" "Oh, Marcus gave us a spare key before the wedding," Gina chimed in, not bothering to get up. "Hope you don't mind, I borrowed your silk robe." "It's divine." My eyes darted to Marcus, who suddenly found the floor fascinating. "You gave them a key without telling me?" "It's just family, Liza," he muttered, avoiding my gaze. I bit my tongue, years of etiquette lessons warring with the urge to scream. Instead, I plastered on a smile and turned to Vivian. "How long were you planning to stay?" Vivian patted my cheek, her eyes gleaming. "Oh, don't you worry about that, dear. We'll be here as long as you need us." As I watched Gina carelessly flip through my wedding album, leaving greasy fingerprints on the pages, a chill ran down my spine. Something told me this surprise was just the beginning of a very long, unwelcome visit. I woke to the sound of shattering porcelain. My heart raced as I bolted from bed, nearly tripping over Marcus's discarded shoes. In the kitchen, I froze, horrified by the scene before me. Gina stood amid a sea of broken china. My grandmother's cherished tea sat in pieces at her feet. "Oops," she said, not sounding the least bit sorry. "What have you done?" I whispered, my voice barely audible over the roaring in my ears. Vivian bustled in, sking. "Accidents happen, Liza. No need to make a fuss." I whirled on her, fury rising. "That was a family heirloom. It's irreplaceable." "You're supposed to take care of family, Liza," Vivian lectured, her tone dripping with condescension. "You have no idea what it's like to struggle. A few broken dishes are nothing compared to real problems." I bit back a scathing retort, my hands shaking as I knelt to gather the shards. "Where's Marcus?" "Oh, he left for work early," Gina said, stepping over the mess. "Said something about a big meeting." Of course he had. I'd barely seen him since we'd returned from our honeymoon, always conveniently absent when tensions rose. As I swept up the remnants of my grandmother's legacy, Vivian's voice cut through my thoughts. "By the way, dear, we'll need to discuss finances soon. It's only right that you contribute to the household expenses now that we're all living together." I straightened, disbelief etched on my face. "Excuse me. Well, you have a good job, don't you?" Vivian pressed. And with Gina between positions, "It's only fair you help out." "This is my house," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "I already pay the mortgage. You're guests, not tenants." Vivian's eyes narrowed. "Family helps family, Liza. Or didn't your mother teach you that?" The broom clattered to the floor as I stormed out, grabbing my keys and phone. I needed air, space, anything to escape the suffocating presence of my in-laws. Outside, I dialed Rose's number with trembling fingers. "I can't do this anymore," I choked out when she answered. "Liza? What's wrong?" "Everything," I said, tears finally spilling over. "I think I've made a terrible mistake." As I poured out my heart to Rose, a cold realization settled in my gut. This wasn't just an unwelcome visit. This was my new reality, unless I found the strength to change it. I stormed into the house, my conversation with Rose still ringing in my ears. The living room was empty, but I could hear muffled voices from the kitchen. As I approached, Marcus's words stopped me cold. "They're staying, and that's final." I pushed open the door, fury coursing through me. "What did you just say?" Marcus, Vivian, and Gina turned to face me, their expressions a mix of surprise and defiance. "Liza, honey," Marcus began, his tone patronizing. "We need to talk about living arrangements." "Living arrangements?" I echoed, disbelief coloring my voice. You mean how your mother and sister have taken over our home without permission? Vivian stepped forward, her face a mask of concern. Now, dear, we're family. Surely you understand. Family? I cut her off. Family doesn't destroy priceless heirlooms. Family doesn't demand money they haven't earned. And family certainly doesn't make decisions about my home without consulting me. Gina rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. It's just stuff. I whirled on her. It's my stuff in my house. Our house, Marcus interjected quietly. The room fell silent as I turned to face my husband, the man I thought I knew. What did you say? He squared his shoulders. I said our house. And if my family needs a place to stay, they're welcome here. For how long? I demanded. Marcus's gaze hardened. As long as they need. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. I stumbled back, gripping the counter for support. You're choosing them over me? Don't be ridiculous, he scoffed. I'm not choosing anyone. But if you can't accept my family, then maybe you should be the one to leave. His words hung in the air, sharp and final. I looked from face to face. Vivian's smug smile, Gina's bored indifference, and Marcus's cold determination. In that moment, I realized the truth. I was already gone. Without a word, I turned and walked out of the kitchen. I climbed the stairs to our bedroom. No, my bedroom, and began throwing clothes into a suitcase. Marcus appeared in the doorway. What are you doing? I didn't look up. What does it look like? I'm leaving. Liza, don't be hasty. I slammed the suitcase shut. Hasty? You've made your choice, Marcus. Now I'm making mine. As I brushed past him, he grabbed my arm. If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back. I met his gaze, seeing a stranger where my husband used to be. Goodbye, Marcus. The front door closed behind me with a final click, the sound of my old life ending and an uncertain future beginning. Rose's guest room felt like a sanctuary after the chaos of the past few weeks. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone. 12 missed calls from Marcus, each one ignored. My finger hovered over the call button for my mother's number. You can do this, Liza, I whispered to myself, pressing call before I could change my mind. Liza? Honey, is everything okay? My mother's concerned voice filled the room. I took a deep breath. Mom, I left Marcus. The silence on the other end was deafening. Then, oh, sweetheart, what happened? As I poured out the whole sordid story, from Vivian and Gina's invasion to Marcus's betrayal, my mother listened patiently. When I finished, she sighed heavily. You deserve better, Liza. Don't let them drag you down, she said, her voice firm with conviction. What's your next move? I hadn't thought that far ahead. I don't know. Find an apartment, I guess. File for divorce. The word hung in the air, heavy with finality. Divorce. Just weeks ago, I was a newlywed. Now, I was discussing ending my marriage. Whatever you decide, I'm here for you, my mother assured me. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and started searching for apartments. Each listing felt like another step away from the life I'd planned, the future I'd imagined. A knock at the door startled me. Rose poked her head in, her expression a mix of sympathy and determination. Hey, I made some calls. My firm can recommend a great divorce lawyer if you want to go that route. The reality of my situation hit me like a tidal wave. This wasn't just a bad dream I could wake up from. This was my new reality. I think I need to do this, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Rose sat beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. You're stronger than you know, Liza. You've got this. As we looked at lawyer profiles together, my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Please come home. We can work this out. I stared at the message, my heart pounding. Part of me wanted to believe him, to run back to the comfort of the familiar. But the larger part, the part that had finally found its voice, knew better. With trembling fingers, I typed my response. There's no working it out, Marcus. I'm filing for divorce. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. As soon as the message delivered, a weight lifted from my shoulders. For the first time in weeks, I took a deep, clear breath. Okay, I said, turning to Rose with newfound resolve. Let's call that lawyer. The fluorescent lights of the office buzzed overhead as I stared at my computer screen, the words blurring together. It had been 3 weeks since I'd left Marcus, and I'd thrown myself into work with a fervor that bordered on obsession. Liza, my boss, Sarah, stood in the doorway, concern etched on her face. "It's past 9. You should go home." I blinked, realizing I was the last one in the office. Again. Just finishing up this article, I mumbled, my fingers flying over the keyboard. Sarah sighed, stepping into my office. "You've been just finishing up every night this week. What's going on?" The dam broke. Tears spilled down my cheeks as I told her everything, the divorce, the betrayal, the overwhelming fear of what came next. To my surprise, Sarah listened patiently, then pulled up a chair. "Liza, I had no idea," she said softly. "But you can't keep pushing yourself like this. It's not healthy." I wiped my eyes, embarrassed. "I don't know what else to do. Work is the only thing that makes sense right now." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Actually, I might have an idea. We've been looking for someone to head up our new digital content division. It's a big step up, but I think you're ready for it. What do you say?" My heart raced. It was an incredible opportunity, but the thought of taking on more responsibility terrified me. I don't know if I can handle that right now," I admitted. "Sleep on it," Sarah suggested. "But Liza, don't let fear hold you back. You're stronger than you realize." As I left the office, my phone buzzed. A text from Rose. "Drinks tonight? Walter's bringing a friend. You need to get out." I hesitated, my finger hovering over the reply button. The thought of meeting someone new, of putting myself out there, made my stomach churn. But a small voice in the back of my mind whispered, "What if?" Standing on the sidewalk, I felt torn between two paths, diving deeper into work or taking a chance on something new. Both terrified and excited me in equal measure. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was my mother. "Remember, sweetheart, you deserve happiness. Don't be afraid to reach for it." In that moment, surrounded by the bustling city night, I made a decision. I texted Rose back, "I'm in. See you soon." As I hailed a cab, a mix of anticipation and nervousness coursed through me. I didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in weeks, I felt ready to face it head-on. 6 months had passed since I'd walked out on Marcus, and life had finally settled into a new rhythm. I'd taken the promotion at work, thrown myself into building our digital content division, and even started dating again. For the first time in months, I felt like I was thriving. Then my phone rang, shattering my hard-won peace. "Liza." Marcus's voice was strained, desperate. "I need your help." My heart raced, old instincts warring with newfound strength. "Marcus, we're divorced." "I can't." "Please," he interrupted. "Mom's sick. Gina's unemployed. Everything's falling apart, and I don't know what to do." I closed my eyes, memories of our shared life flooding back. Part of me wanted to rush to his aid, to be the supportive wife I'd always been. But I wasn't that person anymore. "I'm sorry you're struggling," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "But I can't be your safety net. Not anymore." "Liza, please," Marcus begged. "We're family." The word hit me like a slap. "Family?" I echoed, anger rising. Where was that family when I needed support? When your mother and sister took over our home? "I made mistakes," Marcus admitted. "But I've changed. We could try again." "No," I cut him off, surprising myself with my vehemence. "I need my own space to heal. I can't be your crutch anymore." Silence stretched between us, heavy with unspoken words and shattered dreams. Finally, Marcus spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "I understand. I'm sorry, Liza. For everything." As I hung up, my hands shook. I'd done it. I'd stood my ground, refused to be pulled back into the chaos of my old life. But why did victory taste so bittersweet? My phone buzzed again, a text from Rose. "Drinks tonight? Big news to share." I stared at the message, torn between the urge to curl up alone with my thoughts and the desire to celebrate my newfound strength with friends. Marcus's plea echoed in my mind, a reminder of the life I'd left behind. Taking a deep breath, I made my decision. I wouldn't let the ghosts of my past dictate my future. Not anymore. "Count me in," I texted back. I've got some news of my own. As I grabbed my keys and headed out, I felt lighter, freer. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, I was excited to see where it might lead. The wine glass trembled in my hand as Rose's words sank in. Marcus's family is falling apart, she said, her eyes filled with a mix of concern and something else. Was it pity? What do you mean? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Rose sighed, leaning closer. Vivian's health has taken a turn for the worse. Gina's still unemployed, and Marcus, well, he's a mess. They're drowning in debt and family drama. A cold knot formed in my stomach. Part of me wanted to dismiss it, to revel in the karmic justice of it all. But another part, a part one thought I'd buried, ached at the thought of their suffering. They're falling apart without you, Rose continued, her gaze steady. But you've thrived, Liza. Look at everything you've accomplished. I glanced around the chic bar at the life I'd built from the ashes of my marriage. The promotion, the new apartment, the sense of peace I'd fought so hard to achieve. It all seemed to mock me now, highlighting the stark contrast between my rise and Marcus's family's fall. I don't owe them anything, I said, more to convince myself than Rose. Of course not, she agreed quickly. But I thought you should know. In case you wanted to do something. The implication hung heavy in the air. Did I want to do something? Could I even if I wanted to? My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. Proud of you, sweetheart. You've come so far. I stared at the message, memories flooding back. The broken china, the cruel words, the moment I realized my marriage was beyond saving. But also the good times, the family dinners, the shared dreams that now lay shattered. Liza. Rose's voice cut through my thoughts. Are you okay? I looked up, realizing my cheeks were wet with tears. I don't know, I admitted. I thought I was past all this, but hearing about them, it's stirring up everything I've tried to leave behind. Rose reached across the table, squeezing my hand. You don't have to decide anything now. But whatever you choose, I'm here for you. As we left the bar, the cool night air hit my face, clearing my head. I'd worked so hard to rebuild my life, to find my strength and independence. Could I risk it all by reopening old wounds? But as I walked home, Marcus's desperate plea from our last conversation echoed in my mind. The woman I was a year ago would have rushed to his aid without hesitation. The woman I am now. I wasn't sure what she would do. Standing outside my apartment, I pulled out my phone, Marcus's number glowing on the screen. My finger hovered over the call button, the weight of the decision pressing down on me. In that moment, I realized that no matter what choice I made, it would define not just my past, but my future. The question was I ready to face either? The launch party for our new web magazine buzzed with excitement. Rose and I clinked glasses, celebrating months of hard work finally paying off. As I scanned the room, my eyes landed on David, Walter's friend who'd become so much more over the past few months. He caught my gaze and smiled, mouthing, "You did it," across the crowded room. My heart swelled with a mixture of pride and gratitude. Just then, my phone vibrated. Marcus's name flashed on the screen. I hesitated, memories of our last conversation flooding back. With a deep breath, I stepped outside to answer. Liza, Marcus's voice cracked. I know I have no right to call, but Mom's in the hospital. It's bad. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Despite everything, Vivian had been family once. I'm so sorry, Marcus. Is there anything I can do? A beat of silence. Could you come? Just to say goodbye. I closed my eyes, conflicting emotions warring within me. The old Liza would have dropped everything, but I wasn't that woman anymore. I can't, Marcus, I said softly. I'm sorry, but that chapter of my life is closed. I hope you understand. To my surprise, he chuckled softly. I do, actually. You're different now. Stronger. I'm proud of you, Liza. Tears pricked my eyes. Thank you, Marcus. I hope you find your strength too. As I hung up, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. I'd faced my final demon and emerged victorious. David appeared at my side, concern etched on his face. Everything okay? I smiled, truly smiled. Yes, actually. Everything's perfect. Taking his hand, I led him back inside. Rose was at the podium, ready to introduce me. As I took the stage, I looked out at the sea of faces, friends, colleagues, and my mother beaming with pride in the front row. A year ago, I began, my voice steady and clear. I thought I'd lost everything. My marriage, my home, my sense of self. But standing here today, I realize I've gained so much more. I've found my voice, my strength, and a support system that believes in me unconditionally. I caught David's eye, saw the love and respect shining there. Thanks to all of you, I've realized my worth and what I truly deserve. This magazine is more than just a business venture. It's a testament to resilience, to second chances, and to the power of believing in yourself. As applause filled the room, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The road had been long and painful, but every step had led me here, to this moment of triumph, surrounded by love and possibility. I'd embraced my new horizons, and the view was more beautiful than I ever could have imagined.